Hello. Okay, this is one of those videos that back when I did the indie video, I think I said I wasn't going to do this kind of video, but then I did a windbreaker flight jacket video just a couple days ago, and then Gentleman's Gazette turned around and did a video about leather jackets, so I figured, all right, might as well, because I didn't really talk turkey in the indie video so much about specific brands. I don't remember. Some of you will watch it and you can comment if I repeat too many things or whatever. But basically, uh, I didn't buy leather jackets just because I wanted to look like indie thumbnail, despite what the thumbnail is, Halloween costume or whatever. I was in, college and it was cold and I had nothing that was warm. And so I went to a thrift store and bought a suede bomber jacket that didn't really do what it was supposed to do. It had a wool inner lining, but the wool was pretty much worn out. And I had pretty good luck with thrift stores before because I had one of those rancher jackets with the wool in it previously when I was younger and smaller, the famous Jim Morrison looking one. And I had found that at a thrift store for like $20 or something at the time and wore that till it basically fell apart. So I was kind of dismayed that this one was absolutely terrible. And so I turned around and bought this one that I'll show in a minute. In the previous video, I had the slideshow, so some of these jackets I already showed. I don't remember exactly which ones. And some of these brands you can't get anymore, and so maybe you can still find them used. But since I have a long history with leather jackets and different brands, fine. So what happened was right before school ended, I went to the mall and saw this lovely jacket that I had to have and didn't care that I didn't have any money. And I spent $200, which was like $800 million at the time or whatever. And I haven't worn the jacket hardly as much as I should have since, even though I adored it. And it is this one called Excelled brand. So I don't know if they still exist or not. And it basically is similar to the flight jacket, except instead of the cargo pockets, it just has these slash hand warmer pockets. And it has what I'm pretty sure is a goat skin, pretty soft. Half seam, not a full back, but decent. Standard collar, no snap down, nice zipper, no storm flap. So it's not an A-2, but it's similar. Quilted interior, warm enough for what I needed at the time. In fact, too warm because, like I said, I barely wear it while I was there. All this scratches on it though. I was young and impressionable, so a friend said, "Oh, go drag it around on the ground for a while so it'll look beat up." Bad idea. I regretted it almost immediately, especially around the sleeve cuffs, where I really did a number on the pavement without realizing it. Don't do that. Other than that, though, there's a jacket that's over 20 or almost 25 years old and still fits back when they used to give you a bit of room. This one's a large and fits pretty much just fine. And how much this would go for now, I have no idea. If this brand still exists, I have no idea. But it's not an A2, and it's definitely not an indie jacket. For those of you who are concerned with being authentic to either World War II or a movie character. So, okay, and it had the rib cuff at the bottom. The rib cuffs at the sleeves, too, which I may or may not have mentioned before, does wick the moisture right up into your sleeves. So if you're wearing a cotton shirt instead of a wool one and it's raining, you'll be freezing in no time. If you wear it as a rain jacket. Obviously, the warmer counter to that but less stylish would be, you know, the denim. This one's a Wrangler, but I had a Levi's one around the same time with the fake wool in it, and this is plenty warm for most of my, you know, weather, but not as stylish. And again, if it's raining, you're you're going to be soaked to the bone. But if you have that and a shell, you know, same thing accomplished for less money than a leather jacket, I guess. Consequently, well, going kind of out of order, but if you're, you know, really unmonetized, you can get the fake leather. Here we have a Navy G1 version with the fake shearling here. Arizona from J.C. Penney that I bought several years ago. The patches did not come on it. I had these added to make it a Maverick Halloween costume. But here they were definitely trying to make it look like a Navy jacket. It has a storm flap, a really heavy duty zipper, quilted padding, but probably not as warm as the other one. Ribbed cuffs, ribbed this. You know, you can probably find similar. This one has the pocket on the sleeve, but snaps instead of buttons for your cargo pockets, and the cargo pockets are a little bit smaller. And in the cargo pockets, you also have hand warmer pockets, which of course I need or want. And so a lot of times I would wear this out instead. I think I mentioned in the other video. Because then if some idiot slops beer all over me, I can just hose it off and not care, you know. but this is not a removable situation, so when this goes kaput, you know, I have to get the shoe guy to remake the collar or something. The snaps, decent snaps. I haven't had an issue with the snaps. And I don't remember what I paid for this, but I think it was on clearance for like $80 or something, which, you know, now would be 300 or something. But this is a medium and still fits. So they ran pretty big, and I was pretty happy with that because I definitely wanted to layer under it. And the only issue with this was when I took it to a shoe guy to do the patching work, and they always have gunk and glue and stuff lying around on their workbench. So I think some of that got on here, and he sewed one of the pockets shut, and I didn't remove the patch or loosen the stitching or whatever to be able to functionally use that again. But for a fake leather jacket, I actually get more compliments on that than I usually get on the real ones. So go figure. So moving up the scale then, or sideways on the scale, we get to the Scania Woods Blair brand, and here again a large. This one not running super huge. I'm on the verge of it being a size too small, but I can still wear it if I'm not going bulky underneath. Well, I didn't focus on these before. Well, it doesn't matter because like I said, I don't know if you can get those jackets anymore. But underarm vents, epaulettes, which the other two jackets obviously didn't have working epaulettes or semi-working epaulettes. No removable collar or anything, just a flimsy collar, but it does have a snap down on the collar, a printed inside, but same as I complained about in the last video. The inner sleeves, these ones aren't as bad as some of the satin ones for wearing with only a t-shirt. So I guess I won't complain as much about this, but this is another one of those jackets where I can still be cold and sweaty at the same time, depending on how much I wear under it, you know. Not the worst windbreaker, but not the best either. It's not insulated. A couple pockets. But this model you can still get. Now, but this leather, close here, has some texture. It's probably pig leather, so it's pretty soft, it's pretty supple. It's not bad, but it's got this kind of painted, plasticky kind of feel to it. And I was going to say, so you can't really necessarily tell, but in the sun, this Thursday boot, the red kind of comes out in it more, and it looks actually decent with the jacket. But what is this? The Chrome XL. I think it's basically the same thing where it looks pretty nice, and then all at once, like the leather just takes a dump and turns to dust and looks horrible. Like however many years you get out of it, where it looks this kind of shiny or whatever. It's not the same as the other leather that's doesn't have the same treatment or coating or whatever. And so on this, don't think the cameras really will pick it up, but you can really see in person where it kind of is going kind of powdery and black and kind of ripping along the seams a little bit. Like I said, I really don't like this camera. This jacket landed on the keyboard and made a thing pop up. So you can kind of see here there's like a bit of a tear and a bit of that kind of along the bottom edge in some spots. Not as bad as the cuffs though. Trying to find a spot where you'd really be able to notice it. Kind of maybe in there. I don't know. Anyway, it's not quite there yet. I didn't wear this jacket to death yet. But hand warmer pockets, snap cargo, okay sized cargo pocket, a little smaller than you might want for the size of the jacket, but this probably in the still under the $200 range. Decent zipper, not the best zipper, but decent. Storm flap, not the biggest storm flap, but still a full storm flap instead of the under. Some flight jackets will have a storm flap that goes under the zipper instead of outside the zipper. Slightly different model. Like I said, I can't be comprehensive about every single model. It just won't be feasible. Anyway, after I had already bought that $200 one, I started my job and I had a little bit of money, and so I decided to upgrade and get the LL Bean. This one was about the $300 one. So again, epaulettes, snap down collar, heavier leather, bigger storm flap, way better zipper. I'm comparing this to the Blair now, not the one I got in college. Still not a one-piece back. Had a seam even more up the back than the mall jacket. Still the rib cuffs. But see, LL Bean at the time was offering 3 models in 2 leathers. I think it was only 2 leathers. The regular standard brown and the distressed, which is this. And of course, I bought this in the uninsulated version with intent to buy the insulated version in the not distressed or whatever, so I could mix it up. So here we have literally the satin sleeves I was talking about in the previous video. And so I bought this to wear with t-shirts and then didn't like wearing it with t-shirts because satin sleeves. And so we had that issue, and I couldn't really layer with it that much. This is a medium, but I can still almost kind of wear it without any layers. It's a little tight, but not terrible. Much larger cargo pockets though, and there's lining in the hand warmers that's nice. It's got kind of a fleece. You can't really see that, but it's got kind of a fleece. But so I really, really, really wanted to get one of each. I wanted to get, the insulated regular and then the fleece insulated, similar to the Wrangler jacket that I just had up. And then, 2 I could have for winter, one I could have for transition seasons, and then this for like those summer nights when you still want a jacket, or this for in the intermediary seasons as well. I ended up buying the super heavy duty one because they were blowing out of them. I didn't know they were never bringing them back, or I would have bought them all at that time. I bought the super heavy duty one in the distressed leather, and it was so faded out. Like, I absolutely hated the look of it. It actually looked like really pale and sick. I was like, oh, no wonder they have it on clearance. Okay, I'll send it back and get the regular brown one, and then I'll at least have the regular brown one. But of course, still had gotten that in the medium, so can't even squeeze into that one now compared to this one. But this one being very close, in my opinion, to close enough to the Indy jacket to really pass for an Indy jacket. Sometime around the same time, about 5 years after I got that one, but around the same time as I got the other one, because again, why am I, otherwise I wouldn't be buying mediums. This one was from J.C. Penney, Cambridge Classics, also in a medium, but way more roomy. This one fits more like the Blair in a large, so I can still squeeze into this one easier than the Bean one. But again, storm flap, really good zipper, quilted interior, although not as warm again as the first one, more similar to the J.C. Penney one. But here you got a little locker loop for hanging it up, and here you got a nice attempt at making it look like there's kind of a rear gusset here, but no. What do you call it when it separates out so you can get more bi-swing movement? Doesn't really have that. Fake belt, still half panel instead of full panel. This stretched out over the time, but not disintegrated like many. I mean, considering this jacket's probably almost 20 years old already. The sleeve cuffs are a little bit stretched out. Overall, not terrible. Where I have had, see, this is what I'm talking about with this distressing. It's I'm pretty sure this is from the hanger, not from usage. And this looks even not quite as bad as the Bean one that I returned looked. Okay, so if you can see that, this is kind of the patina that people typically want over the whole jacket, but here we got a rip. But I never got it on the whole jacket in all this time, just basically on the one shoulder for some odd reason. Because again, I think that's just from where the sun hit it when it was on a hanger, hanging up the closet or something. Just the leather. Again, we're probably looking at goat leather here, even though it doesn't have a ton of texture like a lot of goat leather. And a tiny bit of wear and tear in some spots, but overall, I really miss Mervyn's. They had quality products. And I don't even remember what I paid for this, but it was definitely on clearance at the time, or I wouldn't have bought it since I already had two other leather jackets. But you can see it has the gussets. It has this kind of sleeve articulation, underarm thing that you never see anywhere ever, kind of thing. Like I said, I can still kind of wear this one, even though it's technically 2 sizes too small. Huge cargo pockets. I mean, just ginormous with hand warmer pockets that are canvas lined. So that was all in all a very good deal. And a jacket that I've worn a lot more than it looks like I've worn it. Oh, wait. I forgot to mention, did not have the snap down collar, though, just a regular collar. But the collar is pretty chunky, so I've never had an issue with it flying up and hitting me in the face or whatever's supposed to happen if you don't have a snap down collar. So out of order then. Okay, sticking with the A-2 style Ben. There are plenty of other style leather jackets, but this one was a Peterman one that I got more recently. Here we got an extra. Okay, sorry about that. The jacket hit the keyboard, and the keyboard did a malfunction on the thing. Why, like I said, why it's cumbersome for me to do this kind of video instead of a boot video. But anyway, extra large, different material inside entirely, so can be worn without the sleeves comfortably. Same thing, rib cut, cuffs, hand warmer pockets, slightly smaller cargo pockets, definitely way smaller than the J.C. Penney one, more similar to Blair one. Here though, you have this giant butterfly collar with the snap down. I might actually take this to a leather guy and have him round this off because this is just horrible. The front placket is also not very wide, and the zipper is on the English side, so it's on the wrong side. So it's really a pain in the butt when I go to try and zip this up to feel like I don't know how to work my own hands, especially when it's cold out, and I'm kind of struggling against the wind or whatever. Interior snap pocket, kind of a hidden pocket. Most of them have an interior pocket. Again, epaulettes. Um, this one, though, for my money, which since it costs more than the other ones, at least I have a full back. No seam there. No articulated kind of thing going on or anything. Couple of vents. Most of them will have two vents. Some models will have only one. You have a snap under the here, two snaps down here. Again, that'll kind of vary from model to model. There's other models that have like a hook closure. If I do another leather video down the line comparing some other brands, I got this one about a year ago, I think, maybe two. So it has been worn, but not a lot. But I had to get a bigger size just for winter and whatnot. And this was on sale at the time, I think. So okay, I had to slot something in quick because the Blair one I think I already had, and it was kind of flimsy and cheap. And this one not really that much warmer because even though it has the cloth interior, it's still not insulated. So the other one that I hope they bring back, then another jacket. I didn't buy the full jacket of this, but I'll show it. As it's a vest. It's an Orvis Spirit leather. Now here we're in the jacket version. We're basically looking at the same thing as the J.C. Penney one that in the pleather, except they've moved the sleeve pocket to the pocket on the chest for the vest version. I bought the vest at the time because I already had a bunch of leather jackets that at the time fit. Because here is a large, and it's still pretty decent. I can still wear it. Orvis isn't usually too skimpy on their sizing. A little rip in the leather, so it is not a very. I think it's a lamb leather, so it's a very supple leather, not a very tough leather. If you want a tough leather, you need the goat or the cow or the bison. Although most people think of a bison as a motorcycle leather, not a flight leather, for obvious reasons, because it's real stiff typically. Not insulated, again, just lined. Not huge pockets, but cargo pockets with the hand warmers. And this is modeled after not the A-2 or the G1, but I think it's the Navy one that came after the G1. Don't quote me on that. Or I don't think it's a civilian style. The collar doesn't snap down, but here we have a Velcro tab because it has a removable real wool collar, like a satin interior and some buttons. And so this is what a real G2 I think should have. But obviously the J.C. Penney one is not going to be that elaborate for $80. But and how much you can really fit in this pocket, apart from it looks cool, I don't know. I don't know what you can put in there besides some your paper for your grocery list or whatever. So yeah, again, not a vest I would necessarily think of as a motorcycle vest. If you want to look cool, it might look badass, but if you actually hit the road in this, it's going to just shred in 10 seconds. It's more for a windbreaker than a performance garment, I guess, if you want to call it that. But if you want that, if you're driving or whatever, and you're actually flying in a flight outfit, you might like the vest if you don't want the sleeves getting in your way. And again, snaps instead of buttons. really heavy duty zipper, something that you'd expect. Mid or kind of big storm flap. So yeah, if they bring this model back in their jackets in the autumn, I might actually buy one just to have. Although again, without it being insulated, I don't know if I want to pay extra for another jacket that isn't going to be warm for winter that I would have to heavily layer under. I'm kind of on the fence, but I like the way they look. So lastly, like I said, if I do another video, I'll do some other jackets later. I just got this one in because they're on clearance. So not entirely because they did that other video, but at the time I was kind of, looking around, and so here it is. Okay, so this is the Cockpit USA. Now this comes in sizes. I went up a size to a 50. The size guide thing told me 46, and I knew that would be too small. 48 might have been more correct, but at least I can layer under this one. But again, it's not a heavy one, so the sleeves are a little bit too big in here, and kind of, just not really what you want when you're moving. But if I want to wear a sweater under it, unlike the other three, at least I can do that. So they do run pretty true to size. There's a lot of things about it I don't like, though. I know this is supposed to be a faithful reproduction, or fairly faithful, but so we don't have any hand warmer pockets, which is like, yeah, I understand if you're flying in a plane or whatever, you're not putting your hands in your pockets. But most of the time, I'm not flying in a plane or driving in a car. When I'm wearing a jacket, I'm typically outside, so that's annoying. The snaps are not the best snaps out of all these models I've had. Okay, sure, but the fact that it was $100 off, but I'm looking at it, and the first thing I absolutely hate is the zipper. Like, really, this is like the worst zipper out of all of them, except maybe the Blair one, maybe that. Like, I'm like, really? That's the zipper I'm getting for $400? All right. It has a hook here instead of a snap. Like I was saying, some of the other models have that too. So that's just is what it is. Most of the time, you're never going to hook that, so it doesn't matter. The epaulettes, a little bit thin. Kind of, the one kind of sticks up a little bit more than some of the other models I have too. But again, it's supposed to be more authentic than some of the other fashion ones that I have over here. But obviously, when people are making things for fashion, they're not worried about military specs, so they can make them look in a sense nicer. But I wanted, again, one that fits. And even though I didn't really need this one right now, and then we have the underarm. I figured, all right, the price is okay and the timing is okay. I'll go ahead and pull the trigger on this because I've been thinking about it for a while of comparing it to the other ones anyway. So then here we have, now this is usually a thing with me, like this might be super uncomfortable. I don't know. That goes from real big to real small. So either this is going to stretch way out in no time, or it's going to be so tight that I hate wearing it. Time will tell. And of course, it's the dark, dark, dark color that I wanted to get from Bean way back when. Just all that distressed stuff kind of is more a novelty to me. I'd rather have the leather new and let it age with me than try and look like, oh, I'm a badass. I've had this jacket for 50 years. Oh, you have? You're 23. You haven't had that jacket for 6 months. Get over yourself. So yeah, that's a pretty long video about a bunch of leather jackets. But at least I can say that I am, well, like I said, I'm pretty familiar with most of them. Again, this one not necessarily meant to be a motorcycle jacket. The leather's, I don't know if it's goat or cow. Could be either. The texture leads me to think it might be goat. I don't know how they stack up against the ones on Amazon because I debated getting some on Amazon. I don't know if I mentioned it at the beginning of the video. I think I forgot. I've always had bad luck with Amazon of everything being 2 sizes too small, so I always have to go up. So that's why I was really scared with this one, to just trust the sizing. And it is a little bit short compared to some of the other ones, especially the JCPenney one, or I mean the Mervyn's one, where I have tons of room and it's a medium. The JCPenney one's actually pretty long too, but again, not a real leather jacket. So yeah, the sizing pretty close. But if if you have kind of a tummy and you're worried about zipping it and I like I said, I bought it a size up and I don't regret that part. But on Amazon, the price is way low for a reason. It's almost always the wrong size. I couldn't tell you if the leather is even as good as the Blair leather, even though there was 2 or 3 that looked pretty cool. I might buy them just to return them sometime in the future. That's what I'm saying. I mean, if I do another leather jacket in the near future video, it'll be because, I'm just doing some Amazon experimenting for your benefit more than mine, because I don't need 5 more cheap leather jackets. I already have 3 good ones. And typically I don't want to buy, again, if I want to buy a pleather one just to wear to the bar, that's one thing. But most of the time, I want it to look like what it's supposed to be, not, a knockoff. And that's, anything in the $300 to $600 range, I think is acceptable. But Cockpit has discontinued this model, which is why it's on clearance. And I don't know why you discontinue your flagship model, but you go to the Top Gun jackets and stuff, and you're jumping up to the $900 to $1,300 range, and I won't pay that much. I don't care how cool it looks. No, I can get a leather jacket for half of that or less. I'm not. I'm not a re-enactor. I don't know if there's any Maverick re-enactors running around out there apart from October 31st. Haven't seen any. Don't think it's a thing. And like I said, as a reenactor, you can still get this one for in the range, of nowhere near $900. And maybe the other guys will nitpick you if you got the $130 one on Amazon, but if you're just wearing it on the weekends to look like a pilot in a stage show or whatever that is, then do that. Like, it's a costume at that point. Like I said, I wear leather jackets pretty regularly, so to me, it's not a costume piece. I actually want something that I know is going to function. So that went on and on forever. So yeah, if there's any comments and stuff, like I said, I might do another video in another month or so.